After a couple of days of via ferratas in Ouray, we wanted to try something different, so we decided to go off-roading at Yankee Boy Basin. This is a fun adventure that requires a high-clearance vehicle with four-wheel drive. This road is usually open from June to October, weather permitting. Over the course of this drive, you'll get incredible views of snow-capped mountains, alpine lakes, stunning meadows, colorful wildflowers, and waterfalls. And it's also home to some of the most beautiful hikes in Ouray. To get there, you will be driving right through the heart of the picturesque town of Ouray. You will be making a right on County Road 361, and this will take you right by Box Canyon Falls. If you haven't seen our video about that, you can click in the upper corner right now. Next, you'll be passing by the finish line of the downstream Via Ferrata. If you want to see that one, you can click in the upper corner as well. There is a ton of foot traffic here with people hiking in to do the Via Ferratas, so watch out for pedestrians. You're going to be driving for a little bit on some nicely maintained dirt roads. If you don't have an off-road capable vehicle, you can drive in a little ways to enjoy the scenery. But as you'll see in a bit, things get nastier and nastier as this road goes along. If you are bringing an off-road toy like a side-by-side or something like that, there is a staging area at the beginning where you can park and unload. Almost as soon as you pass that parking area though, we're going to be getting right into it. The road is still going to be well maintained at this point, but you're going to have huge drop-offs on the left side. The road is also extremely narrow, so passing oncoming traffic could get a little bit exciting. On the bright side, it's around this point when you're going to start to get some really nice views of Canyon Creek. It was pretty wild because we were visiting in July, and as you can see, there is still a tiny little bit of snow left in the creek. If you could do us a huge favor and be sure to clean up after yourself if you decide to visit, this area is way too beautiful to be covered in trash. We are now at the official posted beginning of Yankee Boy Basin. Just in case you were wondering, there are a couple of restrooms located along the road. This is a good thing because you're not going to be wanting to do all that bouncing and shaking up ahead with a full bladder. We are now arriving at one of the most famously photographed parts of the road, and it's this overhanging rock section. And so far the road is still accessible by car if you want to see this spot. If you're looking for an even more thrilling day of off-roading, you can make the left at the fork for Imogene Pass. We just went far enough to find this little water crossing, and after using some highly scientific tools, we determined that it would be safe to cross in the Jeep. We ended up doing several water crossings over the course of Yankee Boy Basin, but this one was definitely the deepest. Not only does this road have some postcard-worthy nature, but it also has a lot of history as well. Along the way, you'll be passing several different mining sites that you can stop and learn about. A little further down the road on the left side, you will see the remains of the Atlas Mill. We weren't able to find a ton of information about it, but it's believed to be at least a couple hundred years old. That wasn't the only star of the show at this spot though, because the entire area was covered in wildflowers. Some of these flowers were really popular with the butterflies, and I'm not sure why, but some were very popular with flies. It was now time to say goodbye to the Atlas Mill and continue on down the road. We found ourselves at a fork, but there was a sign clearly pointing which way you need to go if you want to continue on towards Yankee Boy Basin. Just a heads up, after the fork things are going to be getting a whole lot rougher, and this is pretty much the end of the road for low clearance vehicles. The good thing about this drive is it seems like the difficulty raises up incrementally. This will give you a good chance to keep driving in until you feel like you've reached the outer limits of your skill level. One thing that we really appreciated is that there was a lot of trail courtesy out here. Passing space comes at a premium, and everyone was really respectful. If you enjoy a good waterfall, well, you're in luck because our next stop is Twin Falls, and this is part of Sneffels Creek. This is an incredibly photogenic spot with Cirque Mountain and Teakettle Mountain off in the distance. As we sat there soaking in these beautiful landscapes, a Jeep pulled up next to us and said, "Hey, did you see the bear heading over this way?" He wasn't close enough to cause any type of alarm, but he was really interesting looking because he had a blonde body. We kept track of him because obviously we didn't want to get too close of a look at him. He ended up heading back up the mountain, so we decided to take a closer look at the falls. This area is absolutely gorgeous, and I would definitely say that this is one of the must stops along the road. You will find a series of waterfalls here, and at the time of our visit, they were all flowing pretty good. Even though we were still keeping an eye out for our bear friend, you almost couldn't help but get a little bit lost in the sounds of the pounding waterfall. We never did end up seeing that bear again, but we did see this little critter living his best life. We are now continuing on from Twin Falls. And at least at the time of the recording of this video, that meant that we were going to be experiencing several water crossings and even rougher roads. We came to another junction and once again we went right. We looked at the satellite map and it looks like if you go left here, it's going to join back up, but I have no idea what condition that part of the road is in. The Jeep was pretty much doubling as an amphibious vehicle at this point as we made our way through water crossing after water crossing. After one more big splash, we came to yet another fork in the road, and this one might be a little bit confusing for some. It would seem like the obvious choice here would be to go left because the road on the right says private land. But the road on the left goes in a short ways before dead ending, and the road on the right is Yankee Boy Basin Road. After passing the fork, the difficulty level will be getting turned up just a little bit more, and now there are going to be some large boulders on the road. It's not going to be anything too difficult just yet, and soon you're going to be at this absolutely epic spot. With scenes like these, it's quite obvious why Ouray's nickname is Switzerland of America. Not only are the lush green landscapes awe-inspiring, but I found some little marmots out here as well. If you visit this spot at the right time of year, you will be absolutely surrounded by columbines, lupin, Indian paintbrush, alpine sunflowers, and tons of other flowers. And once again, after leaving that last spot, the difficulty will be going up just a little bit more. This is where high clearance is really going to start to come into play. You are going to be in a constant climb at this point as the road claws its way up to about 12,500 feet. While this section might not be too difficult for hardcore off-roaders that have run things like the Rubicon Trail, there are definitely some elements here that some might find challenging. You are going to be encountering several switchbacks that take either 3, 4, or 5-point turns. And you'll be doing it in an area that has a very small margin of error because there is usually a drop off on one side. I don't know what was more difficult at this point, the road conditions or staying focused on driving while there were scenes like this just outside the window. As we rounded yet another corner, we came to a spot where there was a giant boulder right in the middle of the road. There was obviously plenty of room to squeeze by, but it was definitely a little bit tight. It's one of those spots where the camera doesn't really do it justice though, because it seemed like going off the road at this spot could get you in a little bit of trouble. After navigating our way around the rock, there was another big climb ahead of us. This was Megan's first time ever off-roading, so I think that some of this sketch really got to her. She decided rather than ride up the hill, she was gonna walk up and get these awesome shots. So hey, thanks for that, Megan. We were less than half a mile from the end of the road at this point, but there was one section ahead that I wasn't too sure about. I decided to walk up and check it out, and unfortunately I forgot to bring a camera with me. There was a rocky staircase up ahead, and it looked like it was just a little bit above my pay grade. We were heading back to California the next day, and the Jeep had to survive a 12-hour drive home, so we decided that we would turn around and head back.
You wanna know if I'm nervous? I'm nervous.
Megan, it's okay, Megan.
Much like hiking, sometimes the way down can just be a little bit unsettling. I think it's mainly because you're confronted with just how far down you would go if things went sideways. But thankfully on this run, everything went according to plan as we dropped back down into the valley. I'm not exactly sure how the girls did it, but as we made our way down, we reached the Wrights Lake Spur and Trailhead, and they saw some real marmots off in the distance.
We're on a marmot hunt, deep in the mountains of Colorado.
These little guys can be very skittish, so you better bring a good zoom lens with you if you want to get a great shot of one. And they're also insanely cute, but V said I couldn't bring one home with us. The good thing about the difficulty going up and up and up on the way in is that as you get closer to the exit, it's going to get easier. This was definitely one of the prettiest 19-mile round-trip drives that we've ever done in a car. I would definitely love to do it again, and who knows, we might even go for the top next time. If you're in the area and you're looking for more opportunities to take in some pretty cool scenery, you should definitely check out the Gold Mountain Via Ferrata. You can see that by clicking in the upper corner. Just when you think that things couldn't get any better, we ended our drive on a high note. Just before we got to the end of the road, the girls spotted this cute little deer. She came over to the car and asked us to pass along a message to anyone watching this video. She said that if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. Leave a comment if you have ideas for upcoming videos. And for all the information about Yankee Boy Basin, as well as other awesome Colorado adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.